We all know more or less that France is known as the hub of art and literature. In a word, France is one of the greatest tourist spots of the intellectual and knowledgeable people. According to the survey of France24.com, 89.4 million tourists visited here on 2017 and 90 million in 2018. Specialists have assumed that the number might increase up to 100 million in 2020. This indicates that the number will surpass our expectations. You can visit various places in France for sightseeing, including one of the most amazing monuments, the Monument for the Martyrs of World War I, and the graves of the war heroes of Garo descent. These fighters laid down their lives fighting their enemies and made their ethnicity proud. Valiant Garo heroes have stood with their heads high in the world's map. The place of this monument is in the south province of France, named Perron of Picardy. If you are determined to sharpen your knowledge and flourish it, if you want to witness the valor of the Garo fighters, who were once your ancestors, it would be a smart idea to mark your calendar with a red tick early so you can visit the graveyard of the World War I cemetery, La Chapelette, British and Indian Cemetery, 1914 to 1918. Wherever you are from, it will be bland if you don't taste all the varieties of food the capital has to offer. If you consider yourself a fancy visitor, how to go to the Garo Monument. You can go there in many ways on foot. The cheapest and quickest way is the WeGo fast ultra-modern train service, which has to be booked online early. You can also go to the Picardy from the largest airport of France, Charles de Gaulle, or Disneyland. You will reach your destination in 25 to 30 minutes without any trouble. From there, you can reach Perron in taxi. It takes only 10 to 15 minutes. There's also another way where you can take a regional train from Paris Nord or Gare du Nord, which takes at least an hour. It takes another additional 35 to 40 minutes from there. You can instead take a taxi from where that is, but it's quite expensive. There is a cheaper way of reaching the destination if you take a bus from Paris, but it will be quite the hassle. Along this trip, the fresh green outskirt of Paris will make you nostalgic. The colorful trees have a wonderful bond with the skies. It is a magnificent sight that will come alive in front of your eyes. Now there is someone who should be mentioned today. Courageous mother of Garo descent, Manoka Hagidok. She has been living abroad for 38 years. Even after living here for so long, she still doesn't have any problem speaking Garo. She still has the same level of love for the traditional Garo dishes and keeps the same old Garo beliefs and values. To provide for her family, she drives and attends office alone. She also keeps up with her social life well. She has also enlightened both of her children. We are proud of her and bow our heads in respect. In the midst of watching the alluring sceneries, we reach the Fufuko village near Peron. The waving roses, dahlia, jasmines, and the tamarisks in the soft breeze made sure that even nature made sure to give us a warm welcome. Their pet dog named Dottie and their pet dog who was injured both made sure to greet us. It was proof that even domestic animals understand human feelings and participate with them. This was an unadulterated showcase of love and affection among humans, animals, and nature, as if a mother was greeting her long-lost returning child. Alright friends, next up is the final preparation to visit that historic site of Peron. Beloved audience, please don't miss this main episode of the documentary. The bravery of the Garos in various bloodsheds and fights for the liberation of the motherland is not only well known in Bangladesh or India, but their bravery is also visible in other countries of the world. Take the example of France. In this land, the members of Garo tribal ancestry made a huge contribution by shedding their blood too. Many of us would know of this past history, but the new generation is still in the dark about it, or perhaps they are deprived of opportunity till today to know of it. Many Garos might have gone to France in the past, and many are planning to go in the future. And if you happen to have an opportunity to be in France ever, my suggestion for you would be to kindly visit out of the love for the Garo tribal heritage. Places like Peron, Amiens, and Languedoc in France is places where you'll find 55 Garo brave souls are laid in great tribute. I, Louis Sangma, living in France now, have already visited those cemeteries to gather enough information about the history of the fight of Garo tribe in the First World War in order for effectively incorporating and upholding them in my upcoming book named The Beauty of Garos, and in my documentary video too. It's good to note that my book, The Beauty of Garos, is going to be published soon, but my documentary film is already out and in the hands of people. And hence, I feel greatly relieved out of my own sense of accountability to this great Garo tribal ancestry. When anyone sees the surnames like Sangma, Merrick, Monin, Arang, etc. in the far land of France, and as he or she understands about Garo's brave history there, it is very natural that he or she would become emotional like Louis Sangma. Simultaneously, he or she would feel proud of his or her own nation too. As far as it is known, about 100 years back, during the First World War in 1917, the Labour Corporation of the British government recruited 500 Indian Garo males as labourers. The purpose of the recruitment was to use them for the construction of roads and bridges to establish communication among the distant kingdoms of France, and for carrying ammunition, food, and other government materials. Although they were labourers, they became engaged, and at one point of their lives, they were in the First World War, and only 120 Garos out of those 500 were finally able to return to the homeland. The history very clearly tells that the British government, distributed by repeated strikes by Garos, also knew very well that the Garos, by their ethnicity, were very brave, straightforward, and strong as a tribe, as well as they were ready to sacrifice their lives for their homeland. In an ordinance dated 12 April 1717, issued by the British government, informed that 2,000 Garo males would be recruited as volunteers all over Europe. It was specified in the ordinance that their role would be to establish communication and construct roads and bridges. But soon after this recruitment was complete, these laborers were asked to assist the French armies engaged in fights in Europe. However, these laborers were given a condition that they would not be directly engaged in fights. Rather, they would remain behind the armies to help them, and for this, they would be given attractive remuneration. The historian and educationist Dr. Milton S. Sangma, in his book named The First World War and the Garo Labor Corps, published July 2008, has indicated recruitments to the 69th Garo Labor Corps were done in 3 centers at Damra in the north, Bagmara in the south, and at Tura during the months of April and May 1917, totaling more than 1,000 men. All of these recruits were assembled and camped at Tura, then accommodated in the American Baptist Mission compound in the hostels and dormitories through the enthusiastic favor of Reverend F.W. Harding. This is clear from the letter of the Assam government and the chief commissioner. According to this information, 1,000 handsome and strong Garo males aged 18 to 35 years were primarily selected within the month of April to May. They were kept in Tura camp and provided with a month-long training there. Later, 500 were finally chosen to be eligible to go to France. As per various sources of information, this group started their journey to France on 13 August 1917 with other Indian citizens. After staying in Calcutta for 1 month, this group crossed the Indian Ocean and finally reached France on October 19th. It is noteworthy that although 500 Garo laborers were sent in the group, the names of only 456 were entered into registration when they finally landed in France. These 456 people were immediately divided into some subgroups. They were sent with multiple responsibilities to several kingdoms like Pouzio, Bicois, La Chapelette, Brussels, etc. In that book, it is specified that these laborers were responsible for loading and unloading logs, preparing camps, digging trenches, and constructing barricades on the paths to the enemies. In 1918, 16th of July, after completion of their assignments in the First World War there, 120 Garo laborers returned. From the French port city Marseille to their homeland India, Dr. Milton S. Sangma used the following reference in his book. Only 120 men actually came at Tura. While they were still camping at Tura, 1 man died, 1 at Garden Reach, Calcutta, 1 board the ship at Alexandria, and 55 men in France. It is mentioned earlier that, though 500 Garo laborers were sent to France, the presence of only 456 of them was confirmed by registration there. 3 of them died as confirmed by authority, and mention of cause and place of their death was clear there. We may tend to look deeper into this matter. It is very clear that there were 500 people in the group while going to France, and 120 finally came back, and 55 died while they were there. Considering all those figures, let us now make a sample calculation. Total laborers were 500, and subtracting those who died there, 442 laborers were supposed to return alive. But in reality, the overall returnees were only 120, which is indeed too low. It means that we definitely know of 278 Garo males, but we still could not trace back what happened to the rest. 442 minus 120 equals 322 persons. This is still a mystery today. The book The First World War and the Garo Labor Corps by Dr. Milton S. Sangma and various websites of Meghalaya indicate there are graves of 55 brave Garo martyrs in the First World War in France, and these graves are being maintained with great respect there. The list of 55 brave Garo martyrs is displayed in the Tura monument of Meghalaya. The names of these martyrs as per the list are as follows. Najak Sangma, Manding Marak, Chakrang Marak, Jingja Sangma, Kyu Marak, Rakan Sangma, Thorin Sangma, Tilak Sangma, Bangalasing Garo, Gorin Sangma, Monsi Momin, Mohan Marak, Join Marak, Sona Sangma, Ushan Singh Sangma, Jinnah Sangma, Tejong Sangma, Thejong Marak, Changrang Sangma, Ringsa Sangma, Wajang Sangma, Tian Sangma, Pushindra Marak, Baron Marak, Ading Sangma, Sangin Momin, Jakman Sangma, Raman Marak, Kinjang Marak, Ringjang Sangma, Kuman Sangma, Kamin Sangma, Rakin Marak, Jita Areng, Podarasing Sangma, Doma Momin, Bital Momin, Abing Sangma, Amarasing Sangma, Mado Garo, Gening Marak, Singara Marak, Jesong Sangma, Solomon Sangma, Kompeng Garo, Jantaran Marak, Oijan Marak, Singa Sangma, Gajang Sangma, Sibanath Marak, Ading Sangma, Manjing Sangma, Jeming Marak, Sangin Sangma, and Simong Sangma. It is the time for us now to start for Thiepval. As we finish visiting the graves of liberation fighters at Peron, now our vehicle is cruising past Peron through the village called Somme at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. There are various marks of modern developments here, and it does not seem to be a rural village nowadays. This village also has its own bank and other facilities. The Bengali-speaking people deeply understand the emotion and fascination of Bengali song while in a foreign land. Lured by the dreamy wave of a beautiful Bengali song, we finally step down at Thiepval. Well, Thiepval Memorial is the glorious place where Anglo-French soldiers are resting in great pride. This place is called Anglo-French Cemetery. The monument belongs to the British and South African Army. This cemetery bears the memories of the War of 1916, with more than 1 million soldiers of both countries laying their lives down in the Somme sector before 19th of March 1918. It is regarded as the most historic bloodshed war that left the most soldier deaths in the 1916 Somme attack, and where the dead did not have any graves. As per the history and as described in various books, the fiercest fight of the First World War took place in the highland at the estuary of the River Anger. It is that place where the Thiepval monument now stands with a prominence. The monument is 45 meters tall, installed on 16 Portland boulders, on the north-south province of Picardy of France, and looks to be a mark of bravery and great respect. Besides this, all around it is open harvesting fields that stretch several hundred miles. In the war history of the world, this place is regarded as one of the most heaviest toll of warriors who lost their lives. As such, it is called the largest Commonwealth monument. There are epitaphs engraved on the wall for every fighter there. Finishing the Thiepval Museum, we started at a slow pace towards the cemetery. As our feet were moving, we heard as if the monument and the signs on the crosses of the graves were uttering the eternal cries of these people. It was as if these lamentations were in multiple languages, and we were feeling the deep sadness of losing near and dear ones. We stopped at a standstill for a while. We tried to reread the language of cries of every martyr there. As per Louis Sangma, people of various tribes and nations might have different languages, but their cries always bear the same identical tone and rhythm. And around us, there were a bunch of other witnesses too. The trees, the skies, the winds. In the last paragraph of the 4th column of Commonwealth Wargrave Commission leaflet, it is mentioned there, the cemetery, on the west side of the memorial you will see the Anglo-French cemetery containing 600 Commonwealth and French graves. Many of the CWGC graves bear the inscription, "A soldier of the Great War, known into God," while the French cross simply states, "Inconnu," unknown. A soldier of the Great War, known into God. This quote line upholds the truth that we might not know much about these soldiers that are laid here, but God himself knows them. Louis Sangma also became heavily moved to see these sentences here. All of a sudden he started thinking as if those 322 untraced and undocumented Garo young men were laid there. This might remain as an untold history, but Louis Sangma started to comfort himself as if he thought, be it today or tomorrow, the truth will come up because God knows best. The quest for knowing the valiant martyrs of Garo ethnicity and for unveiling the unknown of the First World War has driven the Malam Sepi YouTube channel to publish the historic documentary video of Garo bravery under production and direction of Sangma Presents. Mr. Louis Sangma, who is the owner of the Facebook and other social media channel, chief editor of Abima Times online portal, also a devoted cultural personality, indicated, "During my current stay at France, I felt immensely privileged as I could visit these monuments, out of the sense of my values and accountability to Garo ethnicity, to display Garo participation in the First World War, in my yet-to-be-published book, The Beauty of Garos." In this way, the visit to the graves of brave Garo martyrs of the First World War not only made me emotionally driven but also enhanced in pride and respect and my inner craving for the knowledge of the unknown. I am happy that I could now stand as a witness of those valiant Garos of the First World War through my soon-to-be-published book, The Beauty of Garos, which I believe would one day excite the researchers and others willing to know more.